Hello, everyone, and welcome to Trading Live and Free with Geoff and I. How you doing, Geoff?
Going well, mate. How's about your good self?
Yeah, pretty good, mate. Pretty good.
Bit of
I'm just
movement
looking
about
at
the place. I've
yeah,
noticed.
a little bit, tiny bit. Yeah, this. I think I'm getting quite interested in silver here. I have to say. And maybe, well, I think copper to the downside still a bit early. We got this CAD Swiss from earlier on, but I'm just watching silver. Silver's just. Let's have a quick look at it. Here we go. Just taking out this level here that we were watching earlier, and I'm quite interested in it. As I say, it's just broken through that particular level there. That's on the 4 hours. So let's check this on the hourly. You can see on the hourly that we've taken out this area here. I'd
Mm.
like it. Yeah, it's it looks, the first part of the leg's done. Hey, Jonathan, how you doing, buddy? Yes, the first part of it's done, and the question from here is, where would we need to put ourselves? That's pretty good, actually. I want it down here, though. Really, I want it to genuinely test this area. Looking at this on the 15, which what I've just been doing, I'm just seeing that the kind of trend continue, but I don't think we've had a proper genuine test of this point yet. So I'd like it to come down here and give me a chance. That's not my favoured kind of area, but maybe the green light is ready to go. Oh, well done, Jonathan. Oh, so you're taking the trade in silver. That's good stuff, mate. Well done. Let's just check gold as well. Yeah, gold's in retracement leg as well, isn't it? Interesting. So that's ones. Let's just have another look at silver again. Yeah, looks pretty good, I have to say. Got a little bit of an issue. I mean, I think we should be popping higher here, but my issue's more with something other than these, to be honest. I suppose my issue is the best way to trade them. Let's have a quick look through the economic calendar, mate. Unless you got anything pending of you right now.
No, nothing in a hurry, mate.
Okay. All right. Let's have a look through the economic calendar. I am going to maybe take something on a different account here. Yes, I am. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do that. All right. Just initiating some trades on a different account, which I trade in a slightly different way. So that's a shame now. Let's force off. Let's do that and do that. Okay. Right. Let's have a look through the economic calendar, and we'll come back to silver in a moment. I don't think the timing is right with silver. I've taken a long on a different account, but for completely different reasons. And it does involve explaining shares and everything like that. So it's a bit more complex and nothing that we can trade here. So let's go to Forex Factory and see what we've got coming up and see what we've had. So we've got Chinese bank holiday running today. We've actually seen a pretty good boost in right across the board. We're seeing a boost in China. The Chinese economy is doing okay, and we've seen the stock market in China and in fact the Asian equities do pretty well. Christine Lagarde is speaking today at 2:45, mate. So this is where the euro starts to
She's going to lose her voice by the end of the week, like Powell did last week.
Yeah,
she's got a few speeches coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, she does. Yes, she does. And interesting, I think. We definitely want to see, I suppose, or we'd want to hear from Christine Lagarde that there could be some further weakening of the euro, and it just depends on, now we've started to see the euro dollar. Where's the euro dollar? Here we go. Now we start to see the euro dollar move in the opposite direction as we break down here, and retracing back up to the weekly pivot. That's still a pretty good area. I don't see why the dollar is necessarily going to all of a sudden about turn. So I would be still quite keen to say that the Lagarde is maybe going to be a some kind of help for the euro dollar for some further downside. If we look at this along here, it's just about the timing, isn't it? Because the weekly pivot looks okay as a place, but really 170.90, 1790 would be a much better place for that particular move. And if we take last week's Fibonacci levels as well, just to have a quick look at them, from the lowest point to the highest point, we definitely do see that there is some retracement at 38.2. And if we like the euro dollar, not a bad place to start scaling into a trade, but I think the final place has to be up here at 61.8% retracement. So there may well be a little bit more upside to go with this one. Not so keen to call it at that particular point, but it certainly would appear that that we could get some some dollar weakness, just maybe for a few days, maybe for a week, I don't know, which obviously is going to help the story out with the likes of silver, with the likes of gold as well. The DXY, let's bring that up very quickly as well.
Yeah, I was just looking at it myself.
Yeah, I've lost it from my broker. My broker's decided that they're not going to provide DXY anymore, which is very disappointing.
That is disappointing.
Yeah, and I think quite a strange choice as well. I don't know why all of a sudden they've decided that we shouldn't get the dollar to compare. I mean, we can quite
well, if I'm a conspiracy theorist, I'm going, well, okay, they want you to trade the different currencies against each other rather than against one currency.
Yeah, which maybe you're right, mate. And actually, I don't know. I think it was Paul that mentioned that the other day, that it would make sense for that to be the case. For them to do that. So
it's skullduggery at its finest, I would have thought.
Yes, it is. Let's just have a look at
this. The brokers are my friends, aren't they?
Some. Look at where it stopped, mate. Quite interesting, where the dollar is turning just a little bit off that 95, but certainly the first trend line that it's met. It's just met with a little bit of selling pressure, so we might well see the dollar come down and test a lower level here. I suppose the question is where it would come to. I would want to see when we look at the DXY, then we are very much comparing this to the euro as well. So if the euro is likely to do something similar, then the dollar needs to come down. Let's have a look. I mean, it's going to need to come down. Wow, really, it's less than 1% might be a little bit too much. I think around about maybe 6.4%. So let's just have a look at what that looks like on the euro dollar. For a potential move, where we are, 6.4% is about there, isn't it? So it looks like these lows here, and actually when we look at that looks pretty good. There's quite a nice horizontal level along there. I think that looks like the most obvious points if we're going kind of like for like here. Just along here. Looks pretty good. Got a touch there. Touches over here. Touch there. So looks like the most touches around about the 175.90 level, mate. I don't know whether you've done analysis on that and whether that would be something that you would concur with. But I quite like that particular point as for some potential upside. Let's just double check the trend line. Trend line would suggest, depending on where it comes into play, that wouldn't be until the start of next month. So maybe we start to go into the highs again. Oh, sorry. Well, go and test the lower point of this head and shoulders pattern for the next couple of days against the dollar. So we do see some dollar weakness coming into play, and then we can start looking for the shorting opportunities again with that. So that looks pretty good. That would suggest that the trade that we have got on, which is the CAD Swiss, would maybe also struggle a little bit for a day or so. Now, I'm still quite comfortable with this at this particular stage. I don't really mind if it comes back. In actual fact, I would celebrate a little bit of a pullback because it means I'll get my second position on. So got one position on at 69.24, and I've got another position waiting to go on at 0.6913. So there is some interest for me in the market right now, mates, and it's just to see whether they the things play out or not. very quickly, just to kind of look across the board, FTSE 100 having a decent day, and it's bounced pretty significantly off these lows as well. Maybe getting back into this point. I did think this week would be possibly quite tricky to trade. I thought maybe it might be a little bit harder than the average week to trade, just because I wonder whether we might be just getting into these ranges. So in fact, not difficult. What's that already?
I said I hope so.
Well, yeah, I mean, difficult to trade for somebody that wants some movement that would actually take us out of a range. I think that's the way I was looking at it. So I wonder whether we do see a monthly pivot test on the FTSE 100, and going right across the board. I wonder whether S&P might actually see the monthly pivot tested as well. And obviously the Nasdaq, which is in a different place on this platform. Let's put it down here. Here we go. Nasdaq, the same thing. They've all got their monthly pivot. The Nasdaq is through its weekly pivot now as well. So this one's got a pretty good shout of getting up there at some point. But if it comes down again, then I wouldn't be too worried about taking a trade to the upside. That would be this week. Otherwise, I think I'm going to be waiting on this one to properly come back. There's the level on the Nasdaq that it's managed to just take out now as well. So it's taken out that lower trend line. So, quite gentle moves in some respects when you look at this on an hourly. We've had this was the first hour of the day, and it's just been kind of edging its way higher. And I wonder whether that might be the position of travel for right now. It's copper that I'm really interested in. Copper is the metal that I would really like to kind of get on board with for some downside. Now, where are you, copper? Here we go, XCU. So it's hit this weekly pivot, and it certainly looks like a fair area to look for some further downside, but there might be just a little bit further to go, to the upside. But, before we do start going down, I've got a trend line here on copper, which is somewhere along there. And we have taken that area out, but it would suggest that there's, we haven't had a test of that trend line, and it might just want to pop up a little bit higher. So again, it might be another scale in kind of scenario. There's a fairly nice horizontal level there. So somewhere at about 66.86, I'd probably be a lot more interested in trading copper. Looks like it could have just a little bit more upside to go before it starts to edge to the downside. So few ideas I've got in the offing, mate, and I'd like to update the journal when we get to the US session. Incidentally, for those of you that have come in here, whoops, I want that just in here. Those of you that have come up into here and are new, we are going to be trading live in the market between 2 and 3. And if you want to get on board with that, then do we have a way now, mate? I think we do.
We're very close.
We do have a way.
Well, no, but it's very close. All is pending on the technical way to go about it, but there will be a link underneath the presentation chart in YouTube. I think it's next week that it's coming, but could bob up anytime soon. But it's not there.
Okay.
There, but it will.
All right, fantastic. So we will be going through that in the US session anyway. All right, let's continue with the economic calendar as well, and we've got nothing huge on Tuesday. A bit of consumer confidence as well on Tuesday. So another snapshot into the US health of their economy. And I have to say, I've been going through a lot of data recently, and they're not too badly off. The United States, they're not they're not in too rude health at all, considering what we've seen recently. So
we'll have a little chat about that when you're done.
Yeah, sure. Well, then on Wednesday we have further testimony from Christine Lagarde and some final GDP numbers from the United States and from Canada. And obviously some little bits and pieces that could affect our trade on the Swissy NSB quarterly bulletin. Let's just have a look at that. Now, I wonder what that was more hawkish. I'd like to know. I'd like to know what they say there. Now, I think that might have a bigger impact than it's been suggested right now, and that's namely because the Swiss National Bank, or Switzerland generally speaking, cannot allow the Swissy to strengthen in the way that it has against the dollar, and still remain competitive. They're going to remain. They're going to start to slip down with their competition if they don't do something. And I suspect it's the same for Christine Lagarde. And I wouldn't be surprised at all to see the market move on some announcement from Christine Lagarde. So it's going to be a fascinating statement, and I would suggest that if we can get some opportunities to short the euro, there may be a little bit of a boost from that particular statement, and the Swiss National Bank could help us out with that. Now that would bring me onto the euro pound rather than the euro dollar. But in saying that, I still think the dollar might have just a little bit further to go before we get a genuine turnaround what we're doing. The next day will be the 1st of October. And the 1st of October, we do start to get some much more important levels from the United States. We've got the ISM manufacturing number, another number that's going to be quite interesting to follow. Final manufacturing from the UK, which again, some of the numbers from the UK, not too bad at all. Looking at some of those retail sales, doesn't look too bad in the slightest. Average hourly earnings from the United States on Friday. We got non-farm employment change on Friday as well, and the employment rate on Friday. Aside from that, everything else we can probably just about touch on as and when they come up, rather than you being prepared before it. So we have got copper looking for a short. I am in a Swissy. I'm in a CAD Swiss long. And aside from that, that is pretty much it for me right now. I'd quite like a little bit of a boost to the upside with silver, but I'm not 100% convinced that the dollar won't strengthen. So I'm not sure whether I'll take that. Where is your head at, mate? What's happening for you trade-wise?
Mate, just before we do go around the grounds with me, I just wanted to get an overview from yourself as to where you think we are in terms of US elections. We seem to have another oil crisis looming, with a bit of a stink going on in the South China Sea. Is that where it's happening? I didn't even catch that on the news.
Yeah, I think you're right. I've got you on camera. Where have you disappeared to?
Oh, okay. That's because I'm. Hang on, I'll put
You're
my clothes
back on. Yeah, and this is the challenge, isn't it? Because when we kind of like think about, there you are, look. When we think about this stuff, we have got a situation where if we focus on the data alone, then we're not going to get the full picture, because the full picture does involve things like the US election. It does involve Brexit. It does involve the problems that the oil industry is going to face. So yes, there are some issues.
I noticed
here.
it did spike a little bit there earlier, perhaps on that news. There is breaking news, as I understand it, coming out.
Oh, right. Okay. So we need to get on top of that, especially, obviously I'm not, that's one commodity that I don't trade as often, I suppose, as the others.
Yeah, but it might affect the CAD, you see. That's kind of where I'm at with that.
Oh, I tell you what. Yes, very, very fair point. There is some breaking news here. Let's just have a look at the euro pound, because there's some breaking news saying that the EU say that they are far apart, still very far apart when it comes down to the negotiations with the UK. So look at the spike we are currently seeing with the euro pound, and you can
tell them to put a sock in it.
Oh, it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, when it comes down to it, we have got a situation where oftentimes it's just not advisable to trade news. But what we got going on right now is a situation where you can trade this particular news. Every time there's a statement, it moves. This morning we had a statement that the two sides were fairly close together, and the euro versus the pound starts to drop. Now we got breaking news saying the EU says positions on Brexit are far apart and talks must quicken, and we got a reversal bar coming in with the euro pound. So it's one instance that I would say that trading the news is not the worst strategy in the world. And if we think about strategies and how open we have to be to the markets, and how we need to make sure that that we are able to adapt with the market. This is one area that could be adapted. Where you are trading the news. I mean, I wouldn't encourage it generally speaking, but in this particular scenario, it looks like a pretty good strategy. But back to your point about the state of play with everything, mate. That's one area that I'm not so concerned with the news. We know we've got the situation with the states and Biden and oil, but I would suggest
apparently Trumpy's tax returns are now out there for all all to see.
Oh yeah, he's in all sorts of trouble, isn't he? Yeah, he's in all sorts of trouble.
How much more trouble can he be in? And he just jumps out of it all the time.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? But eventually, you'd have to sort of say that eventually that luck, if you like, or every time that it's got to run out eventually. There's somebody can't be that fortuitous for that long all the time when they've got so much controversy just surrounding them. It seems that it will catch up with you eventually.
Fake news has got to run out, hasn't it?
You think so, mate? And this is the sort of time that it does run out. The end of a cycle, the end of a presidential cycle. It's the kind of time that you would suspect that that could run out. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Trump actually maybe losing it a little bit. But do you know what I think is going to be interesting is the debate between him and Biden. Will there be the same kind of advantage taken by Trump by calling Biden names? Or will he be able to handle it better than Hillary Clinton could? Because she just could not handle it. It's that was probably 20% of his election win right there. And you think that things shouldn't be that simple, but of course they are, because many people vote for a politician because of a personality contest or the way they look, not because of their policies. And I think Trump managed to pretty successfully. He managed to throw some mud at Hillary Clinton and make it stick. Now we got some mud on Donald Trump. The question is, does it stick? And I suppose the other question is, even if it doesn't, are people just a bit tired of Donald Trump?
You've got to come to you don't have to do anything. I've got to come to the conclusion that he was at best struggling. And if this does develop into something that, the American people grab hold of and say, well, hang on a minute. He preaches all this, make America great again. And how are we going to do that? We're going to do it with taxes, right? He's got to pay tax. Somebody's got to pay tax. And it's the rich people that generally are frowned upon by the lower socioeconomic, who is really, at the end of the day, his constituents. Yeah. So there becomes a conflict there, in my mind anyway. And therefore, I think his chances of winning have just suffered a dramatic blow, if he had any chance at all. And of course, you can rule him out. But, yeah, I think he's just suffered a big blow.
Yeah, I think you could be right, mate.
How do we trade that? Or don't
well, this is really back to the point, is that in some respects it becomes problematic, because you've got all these things going on, and yet really all I want to do is trade the data. I don't really want to be trading whether Donald Trump's going to win or not. Well, I do care, but I wonder whether it becomes more apparent when it's actual rather than when it's kind of speculated. Because the speculation is that if Donald Trump gets in, then the stock market will go up another whatever percent, and if Biden gets in, then the reverse will happen. But because of that, it would suggest to me that we're going to be caught in this range until what one of two things does happen. But if the data continues to be pretty good at this particular point, I wonder whether we actually see that manifest. If let's say Biden was to get in, I wonder whether we see that manifest this year. I wonder whether it's maybe 6 months down the track. So I'd be much more interested to see the data improving, a price point which is attractive, so the price comes down. Try and take the long in a decent price point. See if Biden does get in. and if that's that's to happen, then start managing the trade after that. Now that is still another month out, so we got some water going under the bridge between now and then. But I just think it's too difficult to trade at this particular stage. When something is that much in the balance, that huge, that important, and that questionable, right now. So nothing to see here for me right now at this point, mate.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at this oil story. Well, not the story itself, but what I'm seeing on my screen is very much a case of oil breaking out to the high side of an ascending triangle, which also coincides with, I know I'm on an hourly chart. I need probably to go to a daily chart to get some sort of perspective. But we look to have risen above, if you like, last week's weekly pivot, which of course is very much the same as this week. So I think this might be on a little bit of a rally. Not sure how far it can go. That is interesting for the CAD pair, or CAD pairs, in my humble opinion. Not really what I wanted to see right now, because like you, I want to get in on CAD Swissy, but it looks like it hasn't affected it too much at this point. In fact, it's coming to a price that I like now. That's in a good spot, CAD Swissy.
Yeah, CAD Swissy is just it's just not really doing a lot just yet, is it? I don't think there's too much with commitment with the CAD Swiss. It's back to where I entered.
That's a decent move today, though.
Yeah, it's not a bad move today. Yeah, I mean that hourly, or the 4 hourly actually, that taking out that area is it does look like we could get some continuation. It's struggling at that daily pivot, isn't it? Needs to take that back, that daily pivot. There's no question about that if it's going higher.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll talk about these trades in the show as well, because I want to get to journals and things like that. We need to figure out, when we're going to go through the journal. But I'd really like to encourage everybody to maybe follow the journal, and we'll establish it all together, and figure out how we can analyze it.
All right, just very quickly through what I'm watching for the week, not necessarily right now, but the week. I'm looking to short Aussie CAD, and this is getting into a good position to do that. I like the fact that we're coming up towards this area here. A bullish decisive bar here anytime is good, and this closes very shortly, so got to make a bit of a call on that. I'll wait until the candle closes. We'll talk about that in the US session. CAD Swissy we've already spoken about. I'm a bull and looking for a reason to get into this long. I don't see it right now, but it is at a good position. Maybe the weekly pivot's even better for that to rally. Pound Kiwi, I've probably missed this. No, I haven't. There's no such thing as missed it. It'll come back at some stage. Fingers crossed. I want to get long Pound Kiwi, and I'm looking for a significant higher low. I like the fact that we've got a nice little base sitting here on the bottom of our ascending channel. Just like we traded it last time, we're looking to trade it again. I'd love to see it pull back, however. It's getting a little bit too keen, so I want to see it pull back to an area here. I'm not sure where that level is, frankly. Maybe it's in there somewhere, around about the 193, just below 194, and I think we'd be okay to get an entry in there somewhere. And Euro Swissy, we got into this on Thursday, and I'm quite keen about its prospects, so I'm following that. It has had a retracement back to the pivots, which is good after the breakout that we traded, and now we're standing a good chance for this to go to the top of the range, and if not, onward and upward. Might like to take a little bit of profit off the table in this vicinity here, and then if it does break through, we'll catch a good run on. I'll speak again about how I'd like to scale into that in a couple of moments in the US session, which starts very shortly, so I'll shut up.
Yes, mate. Yeah, it does start very shortly. What we got? Oh, it's my week this week, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I shut
up. We're on the 60s.
Are we? Yeah,
we're on the 60s.
Last week, that's right.
Yeah, we're on the 60s. Okay, so well, we'll see the rest of you tomorrow morning at 5 to 8 for the UK session.
We forgot to welcome our assistant.
Oh, we did.
Our new assistant. Is it Mai or is it me? If you could answer that question, please, me or Mai.
It's Mai.
It's Mai. Hi, how are
Mai.
you?
Yes. Thank you. I'm good.
Welcome, and thanks for looking after us.
Thank you so much as well for having
So,
me.
oh, more than welcome. So, you guys, anytime you're addressing questions to us in the YouTube show or in the social media shows, you'll be talking to Mai.
Yes.
We
Thanks,
certainly
Mai.
will. Yeah,
Thank
welcome
you.
aboard, Mai. All right, guys, we will hit the UK US session then. Let's start that one on. Is that done by you, Mai, or is that done by us?
I will do it.
Okay, fantastic. Let's get cracking.
Look, no hands, Mum.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
See you soon.